The raids being conducted by the NIA and the recoveries being made. Photographs of explosives, including the use of firecrackers to create explosives, and jihadi books have been recovered during search operations of the NIA team. Those are the details we have. Photographs of explosives as well as firecrackers to create explosives have all been recovered during search operations of the NIA team. Jihadi literature has been recovered as well. Those are visuals on your screens of the recoveries made by the NIA during multiple raids carried out in the states of Kerala and Bengal. The raids were carried out in West Bengal's Murshidabad and Kerala's Ernakulam. 9 Al-Qaeda terrorists, meanwhile, were also arrested earlier this morning as the raids were conducted. Going across to Arunama, who joins us for more details. Arunama, tell us more. All right, going across to our executive editor, Anand, in fact, who joins us on the phone line. Anand, tell us more about the recoveries made by the NIA.
Well, this is a very, very big development, and it's very significant because over the last few days, we've been putting out many stories which are indicating that there is a clear machination to try and brainwash individuals and youngsters. And there are multiple modules which are working. See, the larger design is what we need to understand, that they are trying to enter from the tip, that is Kerala, and try and move up to the top, that is towards Kashmir and towards the national capital region. Now now the multiple entry points through Nepal, through Bangladesh into West Bengal, and from West Bengal into the rest of the country. So they are using these porous entry points and also brainwashing youth. Yesterday, here on CNN NEWS18, we put out how the Jamaat Dawa, along with the ISI, that is Hafiz Saeed and his ilk, have set up about 40 centers where all their idea is to try and create cyber terrorism, to use to make gaming apps, to push software, to push videos, deep fakes, which will only brainwash. And they do it in the name of religion, but it is not to propagate a particular religion, but it's to denounce another religion, and also to say that this is the only way, that is to wage a war against the people and wage a war against a certain section of society or group of people in India, and wage a war against India. Now, this is something which has been going on for a while, and the investigative agencies have been very, very carefully watching. 8 of these terrorists have been arrested from West Bengal, 3 of them from Kerala. The last arrest which happened in Bengaluru also was somebody who was, who was part of an ISIS module. Now, they may call themselves various outfits and names, be it ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc. But the overall aspect is that they are highly radicalized individuals who want to create, who want to coordinate terror attacks on our soil. Now we are given to understand that they were also trying to pass on arms. The idea was to ferry arms into Jammu and Kashmir to create further strife there. And we will have to start connecting the dots. Imagine 2 Syntex tanks with 50 detonators and about 52 kilograms of explosive, gelatin explosive, was also unearthed in Jammu and Kashmir just 3 days ago. So where is all of this coming through, and how is it making its way? Imagine 2 truck drivers who were arrested on the Jammu-Kashmir highway by the cops, and they were actually terrorists and who were ferrying weapons in the concealed in the trucks, which were supposed to be luggage ferrying goods. So these are the routes that are being used, and this is the way, this is the overall modus operandi. Little by little, all these dots connect to a larger plot where multiple ways are being used to try and create an elaborate plan that it will all come from multiple spokes, and eventually the hub of the activity or the epicenter will be either Jammu and Kashmir or the capital and the national capital region.
All right.
So this is how it's unfolding. The NIA has what we see. This 11 terrorists being attacked is a preemptive strike because it has averted perhaps possible major problems that could have emerged in Jammu and Kashmir and in the national capital.
All right. Thank you, Anand, for joining us with his inputs. We also have Arunama joining us as well. Arunama, like Anand was mentioning, a number of arrests were made earlier as well. But how large do the investigating agencies anticipate that this network has spread? Are we looking at the possibility of more arrests now?
These people were planning to go to Kashmir to deliver weapons. We earlier reported in the last bulletin also that there have been recoveries from their place. They were carrying jihadi material. They were carrying material which can be used to make an explosive. Some arms and ammunition have also been recovered. So the latest is that they were not just conspiring, they were in touch with some people in Kashmir. And Kashmir, we know, is a hub of Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and also the new terrorist group Resistance Front there. So if they were planning to go to Kashmir to deliver weapons, And since they are Al-Qaeda module, we have reported earlier also intelligence agencies flagging off how, in light of what is happening in Afghanistan, US trying to withdraw its troops, Taliban and Al-Qaeda, they are trying to infiltrate into India once again. If you look at the Pulwama charge sheet also, we had reported there that the mastermind of the Pulwama attack trained in Al-Qaeda Taliban camps in Afghanistan. So in that background also, this Al-Qaeda module assumes significance, and I would want to question them and ask them more about who were the people who were conspiring with them, who were the people in Jammu and Kashmir to whom they wanted to deliver these weapons. The point that is being underlined by the NIA is that all of these people who have been arrested are from West Bengal. Even those who have been arrested from Kerala are originally from West Bengal. So was there a bigger conspiracy in West Bengal? Was there a hub in West Bengal? That's also something that the NIA would want to investigate further.
And also, is there the possibility, Arunima, that this network extended beyond West Bengal and maybe it was in other states as well?
Really, because 3 of those arrested in Kerala are from Bengal, we are told. So if they're from Bengal, they're obviously traveled to Kerala as part of the network. Why these dots assume significance is because of the kind of radicalization that has been accused of. Politically speaking also, both the state of West Bengal and the state of Kerala has been constantly coming under the scanner for allegedly their failure to stop radicalization in their respective state. So in that context also, this arrest assumes significance. But I think the most important bit of information which is coming out is NIA's claim that these terrorists were wanting to travel to Jammu and Kashmir to deliver weapons. That is significance, because then you're connecting the Kashmiri terrorists who have so far limited themselves to Kashmir to carry out terror attacks. We are now seeing an alleged linkage between them and hinterland in West Bengal and down south in Kerala also.
All right, stay on with us, Arunima. We have some more breaking news coming in. According to Kerala police sources, all 3 arrested are natives of West Bengal. They were residing at Perumbavoor in Ernakulam district, which is one of the major guest labourer areas. They were here as guest labourers. In fact, those are the details that we have. This is according to the Kerala police sources, saying that all of the arrested were natives of West Bengal. Going across to Neetu, who joins us for more details. Neetu, tell us more about what we know through the Kerala police.
See, this was an operation of the NIA. They had sought the Kerala police's help in conducting raids, is what we understand. Early morning today is when these raids were conducted in Ernakulam district, in Perumbavoor area and the areas around that. These are labour camps. Basically, these are camps for these migrant labourers where they come in from different parts of the country, mostly from Odisha, West Bengal. So what police is saying is that these 3 people were here as guest labourers. They were working as guest labourers, all 3 of them from Murshidabad in West Bengal. What we also understand is that no ammunitions were seized from them when they were taken into custody, but then the investigation is going on and the NIA will be in a position to say more about what materials were seized from them. But from the Kerala police, what we understand is that no ammunitions were seized at the time. They were picked up from these migrant labourer camps, the areas where these people stay here in Kerala, in Ernakulam district.
All right, stay on with us, Neetu. Our correspondent Shankar Anand sent us this report from the NIA headquarters, where questioning of the arrested suspects is underway. Take a look.
केंद्रीय जांच एजेंसी एनआईए ने केरल और पश्चिम बंगाल में एक बड़े सर्च ऑपरेशन को अंजाम देते हुए 9 संदिग्ध आतंकियों को गिरफ्तार किया है, जिसका वास्ता आतंकी संगठन अलकायदा से बताया जा रहा है। इस वक्त में मैं एनआईए के दफ्तर के ठीक बाहर में है। एनआईए मुख्यालय में इस मामले पर तफ्तीश चल रही है और एनआईए के अधिकारियों की अगर माने तो जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान में बैठे हुए अलकायदा आतंकी संगठन से जुड़े हुए कई आतंकी केरल और पश्चिम बंगाल में कई लोगों को सोशल मीडिया के मार्फत से उसे ट्रेनिंग दे रहे थे। इस मामले को ध्यान में रखते हुए एक बड़े आतंकी वारदात करने के लिए तैयार भी हुए थे और इसी मामले की गंभीरता को देखते हुए 9 लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है, जिसमें कि 6 पश्चिम बंगाल मूल के बताए जा रहे हैं और 3 केरल मूल के बताए जा रहे हैं। जिस तरह से इस मामले पर छापेमारी के दौरान कई महत्वपूर्ण सबूत मिले हैं और ये भी पता चला है कि राजधानी दिल्ली और एनसीआर को ये दहलाने की एक कोशिश कर रहे थे। लिहाजा किस तरह से राजधानी दिल्ली और एनसीआर में एक बड़े आतंकी वारदात को ये अंजाम देने थे, इस मामले पर आगे की पूछताछ हो रही है और कहा जा सकता है कि एनआईए के अधिकारी की अगर माने तो आने वाले वक्त में इस मामले में कुछ और भी आरोपियों की गिरफ्तारी भी संभव है।
Some more breaking news coming in. 3 terrorists of the LET arrested in Rajouri. All are from Kashmir. They recently joined the group. They, in fact, came to Rajouri from Pulwama and Shopian and received weapons through drones. Well, those are the details we have. Going back to Arunama for more details. All right, we'll try and reconnect to Arunama with 3 terrorists of the LET arrested in Rajouri. All are locals. They recently, in fact, joined the group, and they also entered the Rajouri district through Pulwama and Shopia. They also received weapons through drones. We'll get you more details on this in just a bit. But remember, earlier the Jammu and Kashmir police arrested 3 heavily armed terrorists of the Lashkar-e-Taiba outfit in the Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir. They were arrested by the police teams earlier this morning. Investigation is currently still under process. Meanwhile, the DGP, Dilbag Singh, who was in Srinagar, has also rushed to Rajouri to assess the situation. We are also expecting a formal briefing in a short while from now. All the 3 arrested terrorists are from South Kashmir. A case, in fact, has been registered. Further investigations are currently underway. This comes, of course, after 3 terrorists of the LET were arrested in Rajouri. Their mode of entry was through Pulwama and Shopia. They also received weapons through drones. Moving on from there, a week after China's silence on core commander level talks, top government sources have told CNN NEWS18 that the meeting is slated to take place in the next 2 to 3 days. India will include an NIA representative in these talks because of China's inconsistencies in the dialogue process. A high-level government meeting was held on Friday to discuss the agenda of the talks and the situation at the border. It was chaired by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and attended by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, NSA Ajit Doval, CDS General Bipin Rawat and the Army Chief General Naravane. Remember, finally, we are expecting those core commander level talks to take place. China had been dilly-dallying until now, was not getting back with a specific date. This, we're given to understand, is because what China brings to the table will be vetted in Beijing. But sources now indicating that those talks finally expected to take place in the next 2 to 3 days. India will also include an NIA representative in these talks because of China's inconsistent stand. They've been saying one thing in military talks, another thing in diplomatic talks. So this time around, these talks will be overseen by an NIA representatives to ensure that the Chinese maintain a consistent stand. Meanwhile, a high-level meeting was also, in fact, took place yesterday to discuss the agenda of the talks and the situation on the border. It was chaired by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, NSA Ajit Doval, General Bipin Rawat and General Naravane attended the meeting as well. Remember, this comes even as construction activities by China have been reported near South Bank, with semi-permanent structures being constructed to house troops. Well, going across to my colleague Shreya Dhondial, who joins us for more details. Shreya, tell us more about what we're expecting at the core commander level talks. Do we finally have a date?
We don't finally have a date because the Chinese still haven't come back with a date. What we do have right now...
All right, we'll try and reconnect to Shreya in just a bit, but she was telling us we don't have a date as of yet, but sources indicating at the same time that we're expecting those talks to take place in the next 2 to 3 days. The delay in core commander level talks was also discussed at the meeting yesterday, which was chaired by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. We've reconnected with Shreya. Shreya, please go ahead.
There is some sort of commitment that is coming in by way of our sources that
we could see a possible core commander level meeting either on Monday or Tuesday, but the Chinese have still not committed to a date. Now, what sources within the Indian military are telling me is that we are in no hurry. If the Chinese want to take their time to decide on their agenda and get their agenda cleared by Beijing, we are perfectly okay with this as long as they come to the talking table, commit to things, and then walk the talk. Because what the Chinese have been doing is they have been committing to the military leadership, whether it's in Chishul, whether it's in Moldo, they've been committing to one thing on the table, and then they have gone back and done exactly the opposite. So, when the Chinese, the Indians are saying when the Chinese do come to the talking table, we want clarity of mind from them, and we want clarity of agenda from them as well. This time, to avoid confusion, Vandana, what the Indian side is also doing is that they are going to be including a Ministry of External Affairs personnel in this meeting. Though this is a military level meeting, they are also going to involve the NIA. Because another thing that is happening is there's a discrepancy between what the Chinese are saying in military level talks, and there's a discrepancy in what the Chinese are saying in diplomatic level talks. So to avoid that confusion, it has been felt that maybe the ambit of this meeting should be increased. While this continues to be a military level meeting between two lieutenant generals, a lieutenant general from our side and a major general from their side, but it's probably best to have a Ministry of External Affairs person, as part of this talking group as well. Now, what is the agenda going to be? Our agenda is very clear. What we want is complete disengagement at various friction points in Eastern Ladakh, and subsequently de-escalation, which means that every single extra troop, man, tank, gun, machine, etc. that have been deployed on the frontier in Eastern Ladakh, all of them need to go back to their barracks. What does that mean? That means status quo ante is what India is looking at, which means that the Chinese need to go back to their pre-May positions. Where they were on April 20th, that's where they need to go back. That's what the Indian stand is. But that big decision is not going to be taken at a core commander level meeting. The mandate for the core commander level meeting is very narrow. It's very limited to keeping the peace at the border, to keep the status quo at the LAC as of now, which means that no single shot begins a firing match, which could later on escalate and the situation could go kinetic. So as and when the core commander level meetings happen, the mandate is just going to be that, to keep the status quo. Not status quo ante, because that's a larger goal, but just to keep the status quo at the moment.
All right, Shreya, thank you for putting those details into perspective for us. Now, China may be trying to play tricks, but the josh of Indian troops at the LAC is high. Our correspondent Arun Singh is getting us this report from Leh. Take a look.
चीन की सीमा पर इस वक्त तनाव है और हमारे सैनिक जिन परिस्थितियों में वहां पर चीन को जवाब दे रहे हैं, कई ऐसे पीछे लोग होते हैं जो बैकबोन होते हैं उनके। हम इस वक्त बिहार में खड़े हैं और ये जो ऊंट हैं, इनकी बड़ी भूमिका आने वाले दिनों में होने वाली है, क्योंकि रिसर्च इन पर पूरा हो चुका है। 17,000 फीट की ऊंचाई तक लगभग 170 किलो वजन ले जाने। अब वो वजन राशन भी हो सकता है, वो हथियार भी हो सकते हैं, और पेट्रोलिंग भी 17,000 फुट की ऊंचाई पर बिल्कुल ये चले जाएंगे और वहाँ पेट्रोलिंग भी करेंगे और सामान भी पहुँचाएंगे।
जी बिल्कुल, क्योंकि इस जानवर की खासियत ये है कि ये इसी इलाके का है, और जैसा कि हमने रिसर्च के दौरान पाया कि ये 17,000 की ऊंचाई तक भी बहुत अच्छे से और बहुत उम्दा काम कर सकता है। इसके पैरों की शेप और साइज़ जैसा कि आप देख पा रहे हैं, ये रेतीली ज़मीन में बहुत ही बढ़िया तरीके से चल पाता है और तकरीबन 3 दिन तक बिना पानी के भी रह सकता है। तो परफेक्ट है आर्मी एनिमल के तौर पे यूज़ पे। जिन जिन इलाकों में हम झंस्कार पोनी का इस्तेमाल करके सामान नहीं पहुंचा पा रहे थे, उन जगहों के लिए अब हम इस कैमल को, इस डबल हम कैमल को, 2 कुबड़ वाले कैमल को यूज़ करेंगे। और जो भी सामान हम जैसा भी समझते हैं, चाहे वो फ़ौज का फॉरवर्ड पोस्ट का राशन हो या हथियार एम्यूनिशन हो या और भी कोई सी चीज़ टाइप का साजो सामान हो, गर्म करने के लिए अपने आप को, बुखारियाँ हों, इन सब चीज़ों को तरीके से लोड में बांट के इनके मदद से हम वहाँ तक पहुँचा सकें। हमारा तकरीबन काम इन कैमल्स के ऊपर रिसर्च का पूरा हो चुका है। अब जो हमारा प्रोसीजर है उसके हिसाब से जैसे ही इनका अप्रूवल हमको आ जाता है, तो उसके हिसाब से ये आने वाले 6 महीने के बीच में ये जानवर आगे काम के लिए डिप्लॉय हो सकते हैं।
On that note, a quick break, but more news when we return. Stay tuned.
You feel great that you played for India and I won a medal for India.
CNN News 18, your #1 news destination.
New India is dynamic, bold and assertive. There will be fights, debates and differences. But when it comes to my country, there can be no compromise. India will always come first. The right stand